Hello, I'm Jay Olibitar, President of the International Code Council.
I am Mahesh Ramanujam, President and CEO of the US Green Building Council.
I'm Jeff Littleton, Executive Vice President of ASHRAE. Today, I'm very proud to announce the release of the new 2018 International Green Construction Code, or IgCC, powered by ASHRAE Standard 189.1. The new IgCC is historic. It represents an unprecedented joint effort between leading organizations and building professionals, all working toward the goal of a better and more sustainable built environment. Their hard work has culminated in an easy-to-understand, timely document that incorporates high-performance strategies for smarter, greener buildings. The new IgCC is groundbreaking. Using model code regulations with the latest and most specific requirements, it outlines ways to save money, protect resources, and increase the resilience and safeties of communities like never before. The new IgCC is relevant. As the scope of green construction expands, so must the codes. This comprehensive document adheres to the latest research in order to adequately protect public health, safety, and welfare while managing costs for building owners and operators. The new IgCC is what we need right now. It's available through ICC and ASHRAE and anywhere codes and standards are sold. We hope you'll join us as we move toward a better building future.
Thank you for joining us. The 2018 International Green Construction Code, or IgCC, was released in November 2018 as an unprecedented collaboration between leading industry organizations. In today's web event, we asked the experts how the 2018 IgCC is changing the market through integration and adoption. A special thanks to our presenters. Let's get started.
Hi, my name is Greg Johnson. I'm the chair of the ICC's Sustainability Membership Council, a member of the ASHRAE 189.1 Committee, and a member of the ICC's Sustainability, Energy, and High Performance Code Action Committee. In a previous lifetime, I was a member of the ICC's Board of Directors, and I'm proud to say I was the director that made a motion for the ICC to do the International Green Construction Code. The ICC's goal was to share resources to increase use of the IgCC and make it simpler for code officials, designers, and contractors to build environmentally efficient, healthy structures that will lessen energy and water consumption and reduce the carbon footprint. Just like it is important to conserve natural resources, it's important to conserve human resources, particularly efforts driven by volunteers. Also, the ICC exists in part to eliminate conflicting regulations, and this partnering arrangement eliminates conflicts between the content of the IgCC and ASHRAE 189.1. The 2018 IgCC covers site sustainability, water use efficiency, energy efficiency, indoor environmental quality, materials and resources, and construction and plans for operation. Most importantly, it helps to mitigate the impacts of climate change. The 2018 IgCC does not cover single-family houses or multifamily structures of 3 stories or less above grade. It also does not cover building projects that do not use electricity, fossil fuel, or water. The 2015 IgCC was structured such that a number of provisions only became mandatory when the adopting jurisdiction specifically selected those provisions by use of a checkoff mechanism. This structure was intended to make the document more flexible and adaptable to local circumstances and capacities. For example, the 2015 IgCC required jurisdictions to identify what percentage of construction waste material would be diverted from landfill, 50, 65, or 75%. This allowed the jurisdiction to match the required diversion with a local capacity for recycling or other alternative fates for waste materials. The 189.1 Committee is currently discussing whether it wants to incorporate a similar mechanism into the 2021 IgCC's technical content subject matter. There are some subjects that are treated differently in the 2018 IgCC or that have not yet been introduced. Biomass is a renewable energy source in the 2015, but not in the 2018. The 2015 has detailed provisions on the treatment of soils and site development, but the 2018 does not address that topic. It is still a discussion topic. The 2015 IGCC had provisions for outcome-based performance for energy efficiency, but the 2018 does not. There are also some different criteria around whole building life cycle analysis. The energy efficiency provisions of the 2018 IGCC's technical content are based upon the provisions of ASHRAE 90.1. But the 189.1 committee created an informative appendix that correlates the 2018 IGCC to the 2018 International Energy Conservation Code for seamless use by a jurisdiction that uses the IECC and the 2018 IGCC. It should be noted that once the 189.1 committee knew that it was responsible for the technical content of the 2018 IGCC, that it reviewed the 2015 and brought some of that content forward into the 2018. A good example of this is the addition of a section on building site waste management that was modeled on the 2015 IGCC. So the 2018 IGCC addresses the topic very much like the 2015. Green building addresses health and safety issues just as much as the traditional building and fire codes do. The difference is that traditional codes regulate projects to have immediate impact at that specific location. In addition to providing a healthy building through improved indoor environmental quality, the IGCC regulates an individual project to have long-term impacts on literally the world. Commercial buildings account for about 18% of the direct and indirect greenhouse gas emissions that are driving climate change. The IGCC minimizes the greenhouse gas contributions of commercial buildings, which in turn mitigates some of our largest life safety threats. For example, climate change has modified weather patterns and stimulated drought in the West. Hotter weather helped expand the range of insects responsible for widespread forest tree kill and dried our western forests. This means huge areas of dead, dry, standing timber, ideal conditions for wildfire. 4.5 million U.S. homes have been identified at high or extreme risk of wildfire, with more than 2 million in just California. Losses from wildfires added up to $5.1 billion over the past 10 years, money that could have gone to other health and safety benefits. In 2017, more than 10,000 structures burned and 43 people died from wildfires in California alone. Through August of 2018, 5 firefighters have died fighting California wildfires. This doesn't even consider the wildfire smoke air quality impacts that affect the rest of the world. The smoke can trigger asthma attacks, or more chronically, lead to heart problems, and has even been linked to the development of cancer. Smoke from U.S. and Canadian wildfires has reached Europe this year. Because of longer, hotter summers, the world is also seeing explosive growth in the incidence of vector-borne diseases. In the U.S., vector-borne diseases, those transmitted by ticks, mosquitoes, and fleas, tripled to roughly 650,000 cases between 2004 and 2016. Climate change is also intensifying extreme weather events and contributing to both coastal and inland flooding. Hotter air can hold more moisture and deliver it as intense rainfall events. Witness Hurricanes Harvey and Florence. Hurricane Maria accounted for about as many deaths as average annual U.S. fire fatalities. By limiting the greenhouse gas impacts of the building sector, the 2018 IGCC mitigates the drivers of extreme weather, wildfire, and disease vector expansion. 2018 IGCC compliant sites mitigate flooding by controlling stormwater and allowing infiltration for aquifer recharge. The 2018 IGCC helps provide healthier indoor environments. That's why a 2018 International Green Construction Code is important. It can help make a safer, healthier world.
Hello, I'm Wes Sullens with the U.S. Green Building Council, where I direct our work on codes technical development. I work in the lead team at USGBC and help with the connections of green codes, policy, and the lead rating system. Prior to USGBC, I worked for 10 years in local government in Northern California, where I helped run a program for green building policy I also worked on some energy efficiency programs and helped do advocacy and implementation around California's Green Building Code, or CalGreen.
The USGBC has been around for quite a long time, for about 25 years, and our scope has changed over that time. We began really with our flagship rating system, LEED, Leadership for Energy and Environmental Design, and that tool was useful for the marketplace for a number of reasons: to recognize and reward leaders, provide common definitions for what green means. But over the last 25 years, our mission has changed, and we've really seen incredible uptake in LEED. And we've seen the markets in certain ways be transformed as a result of things like the LEED rating system. So our mission has grown and is now one to provide green buildings and green benefits to all. And so we realized without having a strong regulatory floor, a strong building code like that from the 2018 IgCC, we cannot continue to kind of meet our mission. We can still innovate at the top and reward those leaders, but without a strong and coordinated code, the LEED rating system can't continue to push the markets. And so we really, I think the reason we took on this role of co-sponsor of the 2018 IgCC is to provide that level of code document that the LEED rating system doesn't provide. You know, LEED's been used as a regulatory tool, as a policy instrument for a number of places and hundreds of jurisdictions, but it never was really intended for that use. So it fits, it can work in some ways, but it's not the perfect tool for the market to be used as a building code. And so early on, we recognized that a green code was something that was necessary for the market, and that's why we co-sponsored the 2018 IgCC. That's a great question. And as we know, as you see on the slide here, with kind of the impacts of green buildings or the building industry, the building sector, we know that there are incredible impacts from the building and construction sector. And while these impacts are very large and can seem daunting, they also provide an opportunity. There's a wealth of resources and savings that can be had if we can address some of these issues for buildings. Things like water savings, energy savings, waste, et cetera, all provide economic value to buildings. We've done some analysis of that and looked at those benefits, and they are huge. And that's what I think a lot of our users of the LEED rating system have found as well, and why it's a popular tool. Now, we also know that a lot of these strategies are ready for prime time. So LEED has been used all around the world, as we've shown, and is in many, many projects, meaning that you can find a lot of these products and these services and these expertise areas in most major markets now. And that means there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. So things that save water, save energy, save materials and resources, protect occupants, provide better indoor environments. These are all strategies that are well-known and easy to implement on most projects today. So we think those are ones in particular that this 2018 IgCC really is mainstreaming and can be followed up on all projects. And so we view that by adopting and building to the IgCC, the 2018 version, that a lot of these strategies begun in LEED can be continued and transferred to the rest of the market. Well, there are some great ideas and great strategies in the green building community that USGBC and LEED in particular have mainstreamed. And these are things we've innovated only about 15 or 20 years ago were considered innovative, but are now ready for prime time. And the prevalence of green strategies helps achieve our mission. So getting these adopted into codes is a crucial part of LEED. And I want to show a graphic that we put together showing this kind of relationship of LEED and codes over time. And what you see here is a progression where you've got building codes, traditional building codes, and then the green code kind of on the bottom there, over time coming together closer, and a lot of these strategies hopefully blurring and becoming in the base code, because a lot of good things like water efficiency and basic indoor air quality, finishes and materials and ventilation and strategies like that really should be part of the base code over time. So we see those blending, and then we also see at the top of the spectrum the LEED rating system with their different tiers of achievement, being able to both closely match those and really line up to the point where some of the requirements of LEED, the prerequisites, are starting to line up completely with these green code strategies. And that's important because The LEED rating system is built on adapting to the market trends and encouraging leadership, and as that changes over time, recognizing it. And without a strong regulatory floor, a strong uptake of these practices that are now ready for prime time, far and wide, without that, our rating system can't keep adapting to the same extent that it would if these are adopted wide. Because if we're just innovating the top, 1% of the buildings or something, then that's very difficult to do in markets where the regulatory floor is not picking up those strategies. So we see this relationship as really a two-part strategy of not only the green codes getting adopted in enough places that these strategies become ready everywhere and applicable everywhere, so that everyone can benefit from the good things green buildings bring, but also that allows our rating system and leadership in general to keep pushing the next levels of achievement. And so kind of to that fact, I want to talk a little bit about our plans, the USGBC plans through LEED, with recognizing the International Green Code. So currently there's a lot of overlap between the IgCC 2018 measures and the LEED version 4. And we plan to put together a package of these measures, the ones that are most connected to LEED, have the most crossover, and also have the most ability to, we think, be adopted widely. Put those out in the marketplace and say, if you build to those, if you adopt those core strategies, then we will recognize them in LEED. We will make them essentially achieved if your jurisdiction has adopted the 2018 IgCC. And we've done that in California. We've started some places with it. There's lots more information about that on our website at www.usgbc.org/green-codes, which you'll see on your screen. And we hope you'll go there, learn more about it, and find ways to connect green codes in your community.
Hi, my name's Connor Barbaree. I am the manager of codes at ASHRAE. I primarily work with SSPC 90.1, 90.2, 90.4, and 189.1. I'm responsible for making sure that all of the content that our hardworking volunteers develop that go into our standards is also given ample consideration to being adopted into code. It's a wide variety of codes. That's my primary job function. I'm also staff liaison to those committees that I just mentioned. So I get the pleasure of working with a lot of the volunteers that put a lot of hard work that go behind those standards. But today, I just really wanted to talk a little bit about the 2018 IgCC. It's a really exciting time. Got a brand new document that's come into the market, and it's a big deal for a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons is that we've now got one unified green construction code where you've got ASHRAE and the ICC that have come together to work on this document. And that is a huge thing for the market because not only is there less confusion because there's one document, but you're also providing an easier path to adoption for those jurisdictions that do choose to adopt the code. In particular, this can be a huge incentive for jurisdictions to adopt a code because the unified support platform from both an ASHRAE and an ICC perspective can really carry a lot of weight going down the line. And the simplified process is just much easier for jurisdictions to follow and to feel comfortable with when they're adopting a code. There's definitely a lot of new content. The technical content specifically is straight out of ASHRAE's 189.1 2017 document. And that definitely differs a little bit from the 2015 IgCC that covered all forms of construction. The new scope for the 2018 IgCC is actually just all commercial buildings and then residential buildings only 3 stories or higher. So there's a little bit of a change there. And that directly correlates with being the content of 189.1 2017, which ASHRAE is responsible for developing. That's SSPC 189.1 that I mentioned earlier that is constantly developing that technical content. Now, why is it a good thing that that the technical content comes from 189.1 2017? Well, it's great because it is an ANSI-approved process, and ASHRAE is one of 6 of the national standard developers that has been, entrusted with this process. We've been working with ANSI for a very long time. The standard is actually under continuous maintenance. It's developed in this process that is a consensus-based process, which is a little bit different from how the code was developed in the past, but it gives all interested parties and materially affected parties a very good opportunity to participate in the process throughout and make sure that their voices are heard, their concerns are heard, and all of that goes into developing this consensus standard. Now, when you talk about, how often is the document updated? Well, ASHRAE has a process that's referred to as continuous maintenance, and 189.1/2017 is actually, or 189.1 in general is under continuous maintenance. So that document is continuously being updated with the latest technical additions by the committee. It allows the committee to make changes as needed as new technical items come up, as there are new technologies that are emerging to the market, as items that, jurisdictions that are interested in adopting a code may identify as being very key to their specific geographical region or area for other particular reasons. So it allows some flexibility as opposed to a traditional 3-year code cycle. However, that may still be subject to when the latest document will be published. The positive thing about having the immediate technical updates via addenda to 189.1/2017 are they get a preview for what will be in the next edition of the document, if that makes sense. They'll be able to kind of wrap their head around, is this something that my jurisdiction is really interested in pursuing, or this really doesn't make sense for us because we're in climate zone 5 and this really helps climate zone 1 and 2, that type of question. So in terms of developing supporting documentation for the 2018 IgCC, ASHRAE will obviously continue to expand its material that it already has online through the ASHRAE Learning Institute, both for 189.1 and future versions of the standard, as well as work directly with the ICC to either develop a user's manual type document or code commentary type document that allows the end user of the brand new 2018 IgCC code to better understand the code, understand the examples, understand how to directly apply the requirements that may be new to them as it is new technical content. In addition to this, we would also be utilizing the grassroots government advocacy efforts that go on at ASHRAE, and we would help to try to promote these, promote any type of adoption at the state and local level. That's just something that our grassroots committees are actively looking at as well.
Yeah, I'm Michael Jouaneh, and I'm Manager of Sustainability and Energy Standards with Lutron Electronics. So I focus on building codes, in particular building energy codes like ASHRAE 90.1, or green building codes or standards like this one, the 2018 IgCC, or building rating systems like LEED or the Well Building Standard. I'm a member of IES, and I'm one of the IES delegates to the committee, and I'm a co-vice chair on the committee. Because light, electric light and daylight, play a key role in green building design. In fact, lighting and lighting controls and daylighting touch every section of this standard except for water use efficiency. Lighting and lighting controls not only improve energy efficiency of buildings, but they also improve comfort, productivity, and well-being of the people inside them. So light is all over this standard, and that's why IES is one of the co-sponsors. Well, lighting is used all over the standard in basically every chapter except for water use efficiency. For example, in the energy efficiency chapter, There's new lighting power density requirements, which is the maximum watts per square foot of lighting power that can be used in spaces, and the new numbers are now based on all LED lighting. So they are lower than what's required in the minimum energy codes, but yet they're still high enough to meet the IES recommended light levels for the spaces. Furthermore, in the indoor environmental quality chapter, there are new requirements for access to daylight in spaces. Now, if you choose to do the performance path for compliance, there's new IES daylight metrics that are used in the daylight simulations. The metrics are spatial daylight autonomy to simulate effective daylight in spaces, and annual sunlight exposure to make sure there's not a large source of harsh, glary, direct beam sunlight coming into spaces. Plus, now that there's better and improved access to daylight in the new standard, there's now requirements for glare control and using things like overhangs or light shelves or automated window shades to make sure that the sunlight coming in is effective sunlight and not a large source of glare or solar heat gain. Lighting is also in other chapters like the site sustainability chapter, where there's still requirements for light pollution reduction, so exterior light fixtures have to meet backlight, uplight, and glare thresholds. There are requirements in the materials and resources chapter for low mercury lamps or light sources, like fluorescent lamps to meet low thresholds of mercury content, and for recycling of lamps and ballasts in that chapter. Lastly, in the construction and plans for operations chapter, there's requirements for the lighting and lighting control systems to be functionally tested and commissioned, and new requirements for occupant surveys. Post-occupancy, occupants will be surveyed on the satisfaction with their lighting in the spaces. I'm most excited about improved access to daylight in key spaces, and this is done while still making sure that the daylight is effective daylight and not a large source of solar heat gain and glare. This helps improve energy efficiency by using the free sunlight to illuminate spaces, and it also helps people's comfort, productivity, and well-being by giving them access to non-glary sunlight. I'm also really excited that now we have one unified green building design standard that has been put together by a lot of key industry experts, and key organizations have come together to put it together. ASHRAE, IES, of course, USGBC, AIA, and ICC. So now jurisdictions can adopt this standard for their stretch code that would go beyond, say, minimum energy code requirements. So if your projects do these things, they'll likely meet all or nearly all the lighting parts of this new standard. Use energy efficient lighting, like dimmable, continuously dimmable LED lighting. Give occupants control of their lighting, not just on, full on and off, but give them the ability to select different light levels for the task they're working on, plus use the sun as much as possible to illuminate spaces, but also provide for glare control to make sure the sunlight is effective and comfortable.
That concludes today's web event. Please share your questions or comments with us below, or by emailing standardssection@ashrae.org.